I think some of that fogging up might have something to do with the air outside.
All right, we will call to order the regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. So welcome colleagues and guests and folks that we recognize and know very well. So appreciate y'all being here. We'll open with prayer and the invocation. Commissioner Owens, you lead us in prayer?
Be glad to. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for meeting us here today, Lord, and guiding our path, guiding our steps. Lord, we lift up this meeting to you. Lord, we lift up this county, our state, and this great nation. Lord, we are blessed to call ourselves Americans. Lord, we do need your guidance, and we again pray that you will lead us today. We ask all these things in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Amen. And that pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, oath of office for our duly elected commissioners, Commissioner Riddick and Commissioner Hoffman, who won the election by landslide.
What?
We say you separate. We say this is package.
You want me to keep my mouth
It
shut?
is up to you. You get this one.
You speak slowly.
You are to follow God. You'll let them back and it's right. You can say that today.
Keep going back.
Solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States. And the Constitution and laws of North Carolina. Not inconsistent therewith. And that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Gates County Commissioner. And that I will not allow my actions to be influenced by personal or political friendships or obligations. So help me God. Here's your two oaths, and if you got a pen, if you want to use your pen, or you want to use mine. I have a pen right here.
Hope that wasn't a grading pen.
No, it's not the red one that bled all over everything. I should have done green for Thad Ewell.
Yeah, you can step up.
That's right.
I'll slide over if you want to. Get up there close.
Thank you.
Good morning.
I, Althea Riddick, do solemnly swear that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Gates County Commissioner, and that I will not allow my actions to be influenced by personal or political friendships or obligations. So help me God.
Here.
Congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And now before turn it over to our county manager, I'd like to say a couple things about our colleagues and what a pleasure it is working with them. Certainly seeing Commissioner Hostler and Commissioner Riddick sworn in this morning, even though I feel like they've been sworn in now for much over a year as we've sat shoulder to shoulder. So again, I want to thank you for serving the folks in Gates County, for looking after the county of Gates, and certainly as it sits very strong in North Carolina. So I want to thank you for that. And then our next order of business will be selection of vice chairman and chairman. And I say that in an order that I feel like that's how we should proceed today. And I'll turn that over to our county manager. And therefore, yes, ma'am.
Good morning. At this time, we open the floor for nominations for vice chair to the board.
I'd like to put forth a motion to nominate for vice chair, Dr. Riddick, Dr. Althea Riddick, fellow commissioner, sitting on the board.
Are there any other nominations?
A point of order, please. Why are we changing? We've always done the chair first.
Because I said so.
I think if you read in our book, like that we get from government, I believe the order is chair and then vice chair.
Does it state specific order, or they're just to be elected at the same
Well,
time?
we do not have rules and procedures. Then you fall back on Robert's Rules of Order. And Robert's Rules of Order, I believe, is chair and then vice chair.
If that's the case, then I will amend my motion. I would like to nominate Jonathan Jones as chair and Dr. Althea Riddick as vice chair.
We had to deal with separate.
Say again?
We had to deal with separate.
Separate. They have to be done separate.
It does. Okay. All right.
Okay, let's rescind.
Okay.
Open the floor for nominations for chair to the board.
Madam County Manager, I would like to nominate Jonathan Jones as chair for the Board of Commissioners.
Are there any other nominations?
Yes, there are. I would like to nominate Althea Riddick for chair.
Madam County Manager,
Sir?
I would like to nominate somebody also. As part of my nomination, I've looked over the last 10 years, and our longest serving commissioner, who's sitting in front of me, Commissioner Owens, who's been with us for 10 years, been elected by the citizens for 10 years, has actually served us as vice chair for the last 8 years. So he has served as vice chair for 8 years and is elected official for 10 years. I appreciate the nomination by the chair and will serve. However, this is only my second year, and there's a lot that I've learned in 2 years, and there's a lot still to be learned. So with what the county is up against right now, I think it's important that we have some longevity or experience in there. So with that being said, I would like to nominate Commissioner Owens for chair.
Are there any other nominations? Do I have a motion nominations be closed?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Would you please vote by a show of hands today? All those voting for Jonathan Jones, please raise your hand. Those voting for Commissioner Althea Riddick, please raise your hand. Those voting for Jack Owens, please raise your hand.
Can we vote twice?
Okay. There is a tie. So we will have a runoff between two. Those voting for Jonathan Jones, please show so by raising your hands. Those voting for Commissioner Althea Riddick, please raise your hand. Congratulations, Commissioner Riddick. You were chair to the board.
Thank you.
Now we open the floor for nominations for vice chair to the board.
I would like to nominate Jonathan Jones for vice chair to the board.
Are there any other nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Jack Owens.
And I'll respectfully decline the nomination by Commissioner Freeman. Since Commissioner Owens has served for 8 years, as I said, as vice chair and is our longest serving commissioner. And if he wishes to continue serving as vice chair, then I fully support him 199%.
Are there any other nominations? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to close the nomination.
Do we
Second.
have a second? All those voting for Jack Owens as vice chair, please raise your hand. Unanimous, sir.
Very well. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, the meeting is now turned over to the chairperson. No, she can sit right there.
We don't need to move because
We don't
county
need to
manager.
change seats. Just slide the gavel over to her.
Before we continue with the agenda as written, I'd like to say that I thank the board.
I don't believe your mic's on.
On red.
Maybe some.
You got the broke one.
I got the broken one. Can you hear me now?
Broken one.
Can you hear me now? No, but it's not going to do it that way.
Is it turned up?
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
I would just like to say I thank the Board of Commissioners for their confidence in selecting me as the chair of this board. I would like to also thank Ray Freeman for his service this past year. I was appointed in February to fill the unexpired term, and I was duly elected in November. But since that time in February, I have learned a lot as how the county board runs, how it works. Longevity is important, but also experience, and also longevity in doing the job of where you've been appointed. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. We're only as strong as our weakest link. I'm going to lean on you as I have in the last 7 months, and especially the vice chair, Mr. Owens, who have served faithfully for all those years. We're going to move forward as a county. We're going to move forward together. We're going to disagree, but we're not going to be disagreeable. And I thank you again, County Manager. From now on, you are the county manager interim, not interim county manager. There's a difference in semantics. You are the county manager until we select another one. Now let's look at the agenda. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, in regard to the consent agenda, I don't know if you want to hear a change to that now or not, but I have an item I'd like to remove from the consent agenda.
Okay.
It's the refund related to, I think it's Attorney B&R, Dorothy I LLC. I'd like to pull that refund. And Mr. Hills is aware that we're pulling that from the agenda.
Okay. We will remove the refund for BNR.
Where are we going to put that, Vice Chair Owens?
Tax report.
Should I get in the tax report or?
Mhm.
It'll be a new business, number 14. Is that satisfactory?
Well, I would think maybe the tax report.
Oh, yeah. You may want to go back to work now.
Yeah.
If we can put that as 7B1, does that sound good?
Okay. Any other adjustments?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. Isn't there another budget amendment, Kim, that needs to be added? The agenda has 25, 26, 27, and 28. 29 and 30, okay. Also, Madam Chair, I would like to take the 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule off the consent agenda and put that under new business as well. So that would be number 14.
So add number 14.
Are there any other adjustments to the agenda?
I make a motion that the agenda be accepted as revised.
I'll second that motion.
You have a motion and a second. We're ready to vote. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. Approval. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as revised?
Madam Chairman, I'll make that motion to accept the consent agenda for this meeting.
Have a second?
I will second that, knowing that item 2 and has been changed as well as one of the tax refunds.
Item 2 and item 4 have been revised. We have approval,
Discussion, Madam Chair.
discussion.
If Mr. Freeman would amend his motion to approve the consent agenda with the approval of the minutes as amended with the clerk. There was some changes made and sent to the clerk. I don't know if any of y'all took the time and called them, but I sent them to the clerk last night. And I think I included all of you.
I did read those, yes, sir, this morning.
So you would need to-
And I certainly make that part of my motion.
Madam Chairman, I'll call the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Approved. Let's move on to the delegations. Y'all keep me straight this morning.
You're good.
Ray,
You're
Ray,
good.
Ray. Do we have any announced delegation? Colonel Bryce?
Oh, he's holding his for the public hearing that we're gonna have.
Oh, he's holding it for public hearing, okay. Citizen comments?
Yes, I have one that was emailed in to the clerk. Good morning, Ms. Lawrence. I hope I'm not too late on my citizens' comments for today. Citizens' comment for December the 7th, and this is from Anthony Felton from the Your Community, White Egg Road. Good morning, everyone from the Your area. I wish I could make it here in person for the meetings. However, with this pandemic going around in our country, I feel safer watching them on videos. For the first time this year, I had to Christmas shop online. Another thing I had to do this year was to absentee vote. As a democratic voter citizen, I will continue on absentee voting until this pandemic is over. I didn't even have to do that before this pandemic hit our country. As a concerned citizen, I ask you, the commissioners, to make it a requirement or mandatory for the public to wear a mask or other types of face protecting devices in our public places to help prevent this pandemic from spreading and harming all of us. Another thing I would like to mention is about the county manager. Just like previous one we had, I think Ms. Hendricks will make the perfect choice as a permanent county manager. Just like previous one, she's a hardworking, friendly person. I've already spoken or emailed you my thoughts about the manager's position. Thank you for hearing my concern and opinion. I trust you'll do the right thing. Thank you again and have an awesome day. Anthony Felton.
Okay, thank you. Are there any others?
Madam Chairman, I have a comment to make about citizens' comments. If we can make a note to the clerk, to the board, that on the days we have a public hearing, if we could have 2 sign-up sheets up there, which would address Mr. Bright's situation.
Thank you, Commissioner Owens. So noted. Any other comments from? Okay. Administrative reports? County manager report?
I provide the board with a weekly update on my activities, so I thought I would give you a synopsis for the monthly report. On November the 4th, the fire safety inspector and I had a discussion regarding customer complaint he investigated at a county business. After his investigation, the business could potentially be closed if not complying. The business rectified all concerns by the November 11th deadline. On November 4th, I met with Mike Barnett, McDavid Associates, Commissioner Riddick, the finance officer, Melissa Lawrence, and Mr. Barnett explained the housing grant process. On November 5th, I spent the day with an appraiser contracted by the NCACC, updating the list for the county's property and liability insurance. All county properties were visited, photographed, and documented. Upon visiting all properties, it came to light that some assets were not listed. This list is complete at this time. On November 12th, a virtual meeting was held with Kathy Davison, Roanoke Electric Cooperative, Brad Penny, engineer, and Reba Green Holly regarding the CDBG broadband grant. Plans were made to proceed with the second public hearing and the documents needed for the application. On November 12th, there was a storm with a great deal of rain. The Department of Transportation closed roads and put out 80 high water signs. After consulting with the EOC and the chairman, it was decided county offices would close at 2 p.m. to allow employees to travel home safely. NC Courts has contracted to have a second fiber installation in all clerk of courts offices in the state. There has been lost or broken communication between the contractor and the county regarding the fiber installation on the west side of the new courthouse. After being contacted by the contractor, outsourced from Greenville, and reviewing the work order, there was verbiage that needed clarification. Once the corrections were made, Warren Curry and I met with the contractor on November 17th, viewed the point of entry into the courthouse, and gave approval to proceed. On November 19th, the department head meeting was held. Each department was urged to have a plan in place should there be COVID-19 cases and/or quarantines. If employees are to have the flexibility to work remotely, electronic devices or software needs to be available. CDC, Albemarle Regional Health Services, and emergency medical leave guidelines were discussed and reinforced. Follow-up letters from board action were provided to Dr. Barry Williams in reference to the $80,000 of COVID funds to reimburse the Board of Education for Chromebooks and chargers purchased, and also the denial of matching funds for the $1,750,000 grant. I received an email from Gary Gardner, NC Wildlife Resources Commission, announcing the boating access at Gatlington is now complete. DOT was contracted to complete the road and parking area before the boating access portion could be under construction. This project has taken a full calendar year to complete. The Wildlife Resources Commission is working on a social media announcement to share the word.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. Are there any questions or comments for the county manager?
Yes, ma'am. On the second page, I have the clerk's office, or is the state taking care of all the expenses?
Yes.
So there's no expenses to the county whatsoever?
No, we were involved because the clerk of court does not own the building. It's a county-owned building.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to receive approval from the county to proceed to access the facility.
Okay, very good. And just for the board members that are here, has anybody been down to the Gatlington? You have seen the completed project?
It is very nice.
Shall we say it's very impressive?
Good. Trying to make that trip this afternoon.
And I'd like to make a comment there. Commissioner Williams, Madam Chairman. And that is that, this project was started, by a request from Alan Lowe. He brought it forth to our Ruritan Club in Gates, and then we began that trek until today. So certainly want to make that known that that's how we got started, and it's a good project. And now Don Gregory can put his boat in and fish without having to teeth out along the shore.
And we also can get to that part of the river faster if we need an emergency.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks for mentioning Alan and that.
Yeah.
It was his idea. I recall that.
There are no more comments on the tax report?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Y'all are doing well today. I'll start out with the collector's report, which you all should have a copy of. November, another good month. Collection side, a little bit over $2 million for the month of November. That should continue to be strong going through December and the first part of January, as tax bills are due January the 5th without penalty. DMV funds still look good. They're on par with last year. You still haven't seen me slow down with that, with the DMV. We did have 2 foreclosures go to auction on November the 19th at the courthouse. A citizen did purchase one for the opening bid. He was the only bidder, paid $3,592.30 for that. The other parcel did not sell. The one that did sell was the one on Dildy Lane across from the Family Foods on 37. Personal property listing forms will go out at the end of this month to all taxpayers in the county. And I did complete the county review officer training on November the 30th online.
Very well.
That's great.
Any questions about that?
Chris, any updates from the thing last month we talked about? The neighbor and homeowner property in Sunbury from Zacchaeus?
It's, once we turn everything over to Zacchaeus, they take on
They hadn't responded back any other info yet.
no, sir. No. Once we send it to them, and if there's a lot of errors involved and that type of thing, it could take, in this case that we talked about last month, it's been going on for 10 years. And it's just a matter of the legal firm contacting all the heirs and getting all the information they need in order to go ahead with that foreclosure. So yeah, no update on that particular case from them.
Mr. Hill, congratulations for completing those courses and all that time. Are you able to share a QP average with us?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you able to share with us a quality point average, a QP, A, B, C, D, or F?
Or is it pass or fail?
Pass or fail. Yeah, pass or fail. So they're all passed.
Okay.
I've got one more to take, and as soon as they offer that to the school government, I'll be able to get that knocked out and get certified through the Department of Revenue.
Commissioner Owens, I believe you wanted to, are you popular?
Yes, there's the matter that we pulled from the consent agenda. Talked briefly to Commissioner Jones about it and to Ms. Hoffler as well. And we were just curious about, I think it's about the middle of the document where it says that they could not locate parcels. So you just elaborate on that.
Sure. Dorothy One LLC is represented by Barlow and Riddick, the attorney for them reached out to us. They handle that property for them. Back in 2009, Dorothy One LLC bought a large tract of property. It was about 110 acres. And within the next 2 years, they have subdivided that out and sold it off, in about, like I said, a 2-year period. And I have gone back and looked at deeds and looked at deeds and looked at deeds, and I can't find anything that tells me otherwise that those parcels were all sold except for one acre tract of land, it's a cemetery, and that's still deeded to Dorothy One LLC. For some reason in our software computer system, when we transferred those parcels from Dorothy One LLC to the new owners, 2 of those parcels that are listed here on the letter from them, they were transferred by deed. they were transferred in our tax system. So we were billing the new owners for the taxes on that property. For some reason in our system, those two parcels did not get retired from being deeded to Dorothy One LLC. So for the last 10 years, the attorney law firm, they have been paying the taxes on those two parcels instead of the new taxpayers. So we have charged them an illegal tax for the last 10 years on those two parcels that were sold, but still remained coded to them in our system. So according to the general statutes, we can only go back current year +5 to refund those taxes. And I explained that to the law firm. And so these two amounts here for these two parcels represent the taxes that they have paid in error over the last 5 years plus 2020.
And the cemetery, it was your cemetery, I think, and they had an exemption on that one.
Correct.
That's the only one I saw with Dorothy LLC, but also some of the stuff has been transferred over to Gates Estates.
I think Gates Estates was the first parcel owner, and that was transferred over to Dorothy One LLC, and then Dorothy One LLC split the rest of those out.
Yeah, and there was some deaths and a bankruptcy in there.
Right, yes, ma'am, from what I can understand. But yeah, these two parcels, like I said, they were transferred over to the new owner at the time, 10 years ago, but in our system, out of the 10 or 12 parcels that were transferred, these two remained on our books, and so they've been paying taxes on property that they did not owe. And they thought they owned those properties because they'd been paying taxes on for the last 2 years, and when they went to go sell them, the appraiser went out there and couldn't find the properties, and they called me, and we looked at GIS and looked at all the deeds, and in fact, those parcels were transferred, and they've been paying the taxes on them.
And we are charging the legal owners now those taxes.
Yes, ma'am, they've been paid, so they've been, double taxed for the last 10 years, and it's right in our system, but we just never retired these from Dorothy One LLC.
So we don't go back and tax the new owners, but we don't refund the owners except for just 5 years.
Well, the new owners, they've been paying the correct amount of taxes.
They have. Okay.
Because they had no
Okay.
tax number.
Different
Parcel number.
parcel number.
Right, that's right. Those two parcel numbers that are on the reference on this letter, they never got retired, but two new parcel numbers were generated. So it said the new owners have been paying those taxes for the last 10 years, as well as Dorothy One LLC.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Chris? Okay.
Okay.
Departmental reports.
Thank
We
you
need
very much.
to, Madam Chair, we need to vote on that,
You vote on that?
the refunds.
That's right. We pulled it from the consent
Okay.
agenda. Yeah, thank
All
you,
right.
Jonathan.
I make a motion that we approve the tax refund for on those parcels.
You have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, approved. Now departmental reports. We have. I seen Miss Houghton. Would you like to come up? I saw some emails back and forth about question about financial status.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are we referring to the emails that I
Yes,
sent out about the grant information?
correct.
Where we are with our totals for
Correct.
the, currently, we have reimbursed the county, it was over 447,000, I think. And we have encumbered for the Chromebooks for the school. We have encumbered a part amount for the audio that we talked about up here. And then the remaining portion, besides what needs to go to the town of Gatesville, again, they only requested $6,000 out of 165 they could have asked for. The remaining portion we can use for salaries and benefits for eligible employees with the county. It's kind of however you guys would like to proceed with the remaining amount.
Okay, what is the deadline?
We have to have all of this spent by the end of December 30th, not the 31st.
December 30th.
The other option, I know that was on the table, was the board tables or conference tables up here. So you could use the remaining funds for the tables, and then the remaining after that for salaries and benefits. The more that we reimburse for salaries and benefits, the more that will end up going back to fund balance. That's just one thing to think about. And there was some of the remaining portion that is, I guess, earmarked for the position that was approved for Billy's department. So it's however you guys would like to proceed.
And that money, if not spent, would have gone back to the general fund possibly as well, correct?
For Billy's position? Yes. I think there was some misunderstanding about these funds for fiscal year 21 and going back to fund balance. We budgeted to balance the budget. We used 200,000 of our main funds, which meant we freed up county funds so we did not have to furlough employees, etc. So that 200,000 has already been accounted for. So that's not going to fund balance because we used it other places. So anything over the 200,000 for fiscal year 21 potentially can go back to fund balance. We do have to do another budget amendment based on how you guys would like to proceed. Anything over 200,000 that I reimburse back to the general fund is additional money. So we would budget it in the revenue side and in the expenditure side. It's wherever you guys would like for it to go. Now, some of that has to go towards Billy's position because that was approved. But the remaining portion is, like I said, however you guys would like to proceed. Anything purchased out of the Fund 24, which is the special revenue fund that we had to create for this money, for example, like the Chromebooks, that is not something that goes towards our fund balance because it's paid out of that fund directly. So anything we transfer to the general fund has the potential of going to fund balance. For example, if you purchase the conference table furniture, that's purchased out of Fund 24, out of the special revenue fund. So that does not, will not help towards going towards fund balance, if that makes sense. This is very complicated.
From what I'm hearing, thank you for that information. We're going to have a need to take a vote. We could ask finance officer to draft up some recommendations to us, maybe between the county manager and a board member and finance officer, maybe meet and draft up 2 or 3 options.
We're December 7th and this money's got to be spent.
Right.
We don't have another meeting,
Yeah.
so that sounds like impossible.
Yeah. Do you think we can make a decision with what we're hearing, or
I'm sorry.
could we discuss the matter in closed session?
Let me speak. With what I read from the email late last night and again this morning in hearing this outline, it's very complicated. And I don't think we're comfortable in saying what we like to happen. We want to know what we should be doing and get this money spent, encumbered and spent by December the 30th. But we have to have something more concrete than what we like. So I think your suggestion, Commissioner Owens, to have something quickly referred to us so that we can quickly call a special meeting or whatever we have to do to make sure that we encumber that money, spend it appropriately, because what she just said is just so convoluted, back and forth. You did a very good job in the email. I could follow it, but when you talked about it, it lost me again. So I think that we need to take our due diligence and make sure of what we're voting on.
The one positive thing that I've gotten from the last NC Pro meeting regarding this money is that we can continue to report even if it goes over our allocation in the event when they come back to audit us and they disallow, you still have some backup so you don't get in a payback situation,
Right.
which we've tried to stay, like I said, very conservative with how I was reimbursing from salaries and benefits, only what time was actually worked, not the full salary. And those were kind of the safest categories to go with. So we've purchased very little things. And of course, even though the Chromebook purchase was a large amount, that was an eligible expense. So.
Well, Kim, item number 9 under old business is the board table contract. So that should be the last thing and this was discussed at a couple meetings ago that I wasn't able to be at, replacing the board table as well as the audio visual, spending money on that. So I think that once we get through old business, you'll have a better idea of just how much money is left so that we could make a decision possibly today after item number 9, so that.
Right, and I will have no problems using all that remaining amount for salaries and benefits, so.
And we're talking 77-ish, right? And
That's not
then-
encumbered,
That's not encumbered. So we used 59 to balance the budget last year.
200,000 for this.
We used 59 out of fund balance.
We did, correct.
So we would
Correct.
replace what we borrowed or used by taking 59,000. So we'd be back at square one, basically,
Correct.
without the 200,000.
That would cross that out.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a motion on how we move forward?
I'll make a motion that we ask the chairperson and Ms. Outland and the county manager to get together and select a date for special meeting on the issue.
Now, I will say I cannot report it as we were moving money back to fund balance because that's not a reimbursable. There would have to be something else that we were using that money for.
But if we if we use it for salaries and benefits, the money that we had budgeted for salary and benefits, we could put in fund balance.
Correct, yes.
Right. So basically, the board decides to spend money on a new table today. We could turn around and direct the finance officer to use the rest of that money for what she has stated that she can do to help the county's budget.
Mhm.
Possibly.
Possible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else, Kim?
That's it.
Okay.
I did make a motion.
Oh, forgot.
That's okay.
We have a motion on the floor for the county manager, finance officer, and the chair to select a date for a special meeting to resolve this matter. Is that your motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
All in favor?
Discussion, Madam Chair.
Discussion?
Is there any reason we can't do it today?
Well, I made the motion before your suggestion.
I know that's why.
And the only reason I mentioned it because it was, for the record, for the audience, it was on the tables. That's the only reason I mentioned that.
And we can add an amendment to yours, motion, or you could withdraw your motion.
Rescind it? Or-
Well, I'd rather rescind it than it be conditional.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion. Mr. Freeman?
So they,
Okay.
Okay.
Rescind it?
So you can hang around for old business, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have any articles of interest or any other departmental reports? Anyone else's? County manager, do we have any other reports that you, okay?
I do not.
Madam Chair, may I bring something up, and I don't know if this is the best time or not, but in the county manager's report, we're talking about CDBG, and I know all of us have had an interest of that, and that's been dragging along, Madam Chairman, so long. And without it being resolved by payment to the people who, I think it was 2017?
Oh, you're talking about the housing,
Yes.
okay?
So if this would be a good time to bring that to Madam Chairman's attention, to also ask our county manager to continue to pinch them, and so we can resolve this as quick as possible.
County manager, I think his name is Mr. Bartlett. Can't hear. His name is Mr. Bartlett.
Yes.
will you please get in touch with him and ask him to prepare an updated report for the progress of the CDBG grant?
Yes, I'll be happy to.
And may I add one other thing? And
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, you tell me if this is proper or not, for him to explain to us why it has not been done yet. You know,
Oh, that would be in the report. It's on a thorough update
Yes,
as far as where we are now and the lag time that we're experiencing.
yes,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Where are we now? Okay, the county calendar, I think we moved that, Commissioner Jones?
Mhm.
We moved the county calendar down
To number
to
14.
down to 14.
Mhm.
So now we have,
Actually, no, ma'am, that was the number 2 on the consent agenda. We moved down the meeting schedule.
well, let's take a look at the county calendar.
But didn't we move that to the 14th?
I thought we moved it to the 14th. What do you think it is now, John?
My motion was to move the Board of Commissioners meeting schedule and the consent items when we were consenting.
I think you're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking at the county calendar. Any discussion? Any addition? Okay.
And when we are saying 5:30, that is when we're going to start our meetings.
There's no meetings on the county calendar for December.
Looking at this-
Oh, okay. Got one.
This one here. Okay, any discussion, no discussion? Do we need to vote on it? No. No. Okay, moving right along. Public hearings. Need a motion to go. into
Madam
public-
Chairman, I'll make a motion that we enter into public hearing.
And I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Discussion, Madam Chair.
Discussion?
If Commissioner Vice Chair Owens would read what the public hearing is about, or we need to be read so the public knows before or after we vote, as long, you know,
How much of that you think I should read?
what we're going to public hearing for.
I will read it for you. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Gates County Board of Commissioners on December the 7th, 2020 at 10 a.m. in the courtroom of the Gates County Historic Courthouse, 115 Court Street, Gatesville, for the following: the CDBG Coronavirus CV Program Grant. The board will receive comments on the proposed expansion of broadband services to be completed in 2 projects. The first project will begin in Euro on Highway 137, plus or minus 1.5 miles east of the intersection of Highway 13 and Highway 137, and proceed east for plus or minus 7.1 miles, intersecting Main Street in Gatesville. At the intersection of Main Street and Highway 137, the project will travel on Highway 37 for plus or minus 0.3 miles. The second project will begin in Gatesville at the intersection of Highway 158 and Medical Center Road at Eastlands Crossroad, and proceed north on Medical Center Road for plus or minus 4.2 miles and end at the intersection of Willerton Road and Gates. The public is encouraged to provide comments on the 2 proposed broadband expansion projects. Comments may be given in person, by phone, or provided in writing by 8 a.m. on Monday, December the 7th, to Diane Hendricks, Interim County Manager, via email or mail to Post Office Box 148, Gatesville, North Carolina, 27938. Citizens that prefer to stay home may call 252-357-2495 to request call-in information. While the meeting will be live on YouTube chat comments will not be accepted during the public hearing. And this was published on November 26, 2020, and Thursday, December 3rd, 2020.
Very well.
Okay,
I'll call for the vote now, Madam Chair.
All in favor of going into public hearing for CDBG grant, CV grant?
Aye.
All opposed? Approved.
We have representatives if they would like to speak.
Good morning. It's good to be with you this morning. I'm Kathy Davison. I'm the Vice President of Finance and Accounting for Roanoke Electric, as well as Roanoke Connect Holdings. We are pleased to be with you this morning and partner with Gates County in bringing additional broadband service through our Roanoke Connect Holdings subsidiary. A total of 16.6 miles linear miles with 13.6 miles of fiber. And we're excited to say that with these grant funds, we'll be able to pass numerous locations within the counties, as well as get to neighborhoods that most need broadband services, particularly as we continue to face increased numbers in COVID and children having virtual learning, as well as many businesses still participating in teleworking and operations from home.
Thank you very much. County Manager, do you have anything to add? Reba on?
Reba's there.
I'm here. Good morning to everybody. I'm glad we're having this public hearing. I am working with Roanoke Electric Cooperative as their resource developer and helping with writing the grant, collaborating with Diane, and we're looking forward to bringing broadband to Gates County, my home.
And I would like to also take the opportunity to introduce our project engineer and representative from Vantage Point Solutions, Brad Penny.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Did I understand it's 16.1 miles? Is that correct?
It's 13.6 miles of fiber.
Yeah, to provide some color there for Kathy's point, it's about just under 12, right around 12 miles of linear mainline. But when we factor in some roundups for slack loops, segs, those sorts of things, it is about 13, just over 13 miles, I think 13.6.
For our guest this morning?
Not until after the public hearing, I think, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman, the COVID thing has created a little different scenario. If there's anyone in the audience who might have a question for them, I think that would be appropriate if there is.
Do you have a comment?
Good morning, Madam Commissioner members. My name is Turner Bright. I'm a retired telecommunications worker for CenturyLink. I worked there for 43 and a half years. The last 25 and a half years, my job was broadband. I'm a network switching technician. I installed the DSL for CenturyLink. I have been on fiber projects. I'm very well aware of what they're doing. I'm a Roanoke Electric customer. I am the last house on the line on Silver Springs Road. That term, last mile, is a whole lot to me. In working for CenturyLink, I know where broadband is at in Gates County. I know the size of fibers, the number of fibers, and got what they're proposing right now seems to be, from my perspective, my experience, is redundant. You already have fiber in Gates. You already have a switch right across the street that has broadband. Now, it has 30 meg for 5,000 feet. 15 meg, they're out and it goes down to 512. So Gatesville has broadband available to it. Cable TV is in Gatesville. Europe has a Gatesville switch. Obsville has a switch. The Whitestone area, where you're taking the fiber down to the intersection from 158, there's fiber down there already with CenturyLink. Gates has broadband available. There again, it's limited to 3 to 4 miles. So what I've seen on this, you're putting the fiber from your Gatesville in an area that is already served by 2 internet providers. I understand it takes money to plow fiber or hang it in the air, which is cheaper of the 2. So I don't see where what they're providing right now is doing anything for anybody. They're going to where you already serve. You haven't looked at the last mile. You haven't. I signed up for it. My letter stated that I might not never get it because I'm too far. Phase 2 goes down the Mill Pond Road, which is great, but it doesn't come down Silver Springs. The best you can get is 512 miles. I've got 2 grandchildren in my house right trying to do food. You should enjoy that. Come anytime you want to. There's one knocking out the other. I do fire reports for my fire department. I do federal paperwork. I can't do it on 512. Just don't happen. I can't Zoom for my Sunday school on 512. It buffers. So with what they're proposing, I don't see where it's done the county any good. Put it where you already have it. Why not try to go out and then talk with the other providers about getting them to boost? I know how much equipment cost. I installed it. I maintained it. And it's not cheap. I agree. Plowing fiber is great, but it's cheaper to put it in the air. Plowing it. I have to worry about other cable providers, and I have to put up water lines, gas lines, this sort of thing to cut. And they say if the fiber gets tore down in the air, and I'm talking from experience with telco, what's the big deal? Well, if the telephone lines are down, that's one thing. If the power lines are down, the internet's not going to work anyway, unless you've got a generator. Now, without power, you don't have cell phone. You can forget cell phone. You know, we live in a swamp and in a hole. Everybody can look at how many bars right now, so the towers have been put up, and they're fed by fiber, which is underground. So when you're looking at this, the last mile, who are you spending this money for? Are you spending it to get it in the courthouse when you have MCNC, you have CenturyLink, you have cable TV provider, fiber. 158, the EOC Center, fiber's out there. Anywhere we're at now, CenturyLink is already pre-plowed in the past. Now, what their new policies are about leasing fiber. I'm out of that. Fiber transport is a big thing what all the companies want. They want big money and not little money from the small guy. They're being left out. Hobbsville, anything past 3 miles, don't have it. Catherine's Creek area, there's none. Not even cable TV. Outside of Gates, you get down into farms off the right, going down toward, drawing a blank, sorry about that. Carter. Yep, Carter. That way, there's no internet. So I realize you have to make money to carry it out here. When you're competing with somebody else that's already got it, what's the purpose? I haven't seen where they have laid out any project other than a trunk fiber from 137 to here, and from 158 out to trailer park, module home area out there, out of the water tower. Yeah, down that way. So think about where you're going and look at who you're targeting and how that money can just be spent rather than just chunking it. Who are they going to run their fibers to? There's nobody in a couple of miles. Or swamp, they got to come here down this road. Or is that, if it's just trunk to here, when it gets here, what are they going to do with it? What's the long range plan? that's kind of where I'm looking. I'm looking at the last mile. And I do know how it goes out on fiber, on copper, and on coax. So they need to be looking after everybody, just not a select few. CenturyLink, cable TV, and Roanoke Electric as well. The last mile money, they were able to lobby the General Assembly and lawmakers where they could go for the most money, and they let them take last mile money and spend closer to get the low hanging fruit, so to speak, to use the money. This time, let's hold them to the last mile and help expand broadband. Not served or underserved. You've got less than 5 megs, you don't have anything to do. Thank you.
Are there any other?
We need to open it up though.
Commissioners, if it's possible, we would like to discuss further our project and what the intent of the project is. And I would ask Brad Penny, with Vantage Point Solutions, to discuss that.
Madam Chairman, we can discuss with them out of the public hearing. That way we can interject back with them. So I'll make a motion. I have a motion to come out of the public. I'll make a motion.
Second.
So moved. Now the public hearing.
And Madam Chair, I'd like to make a little exception if the board agrees. It's good to have as many collaborators, opinions, because you learn more. And a lot of this, like 512, is way over my head, not one of my expertises. I would ask the board, would they allow us to go, we don't have dialogue, open dialogue with the audience, but with Mr. Bright being here and his 43 years of service, I think we'd be missing the boat if we didn't allow him to interject.
Well, this is not our first public hearing. This is our final public hearing for this, to vote on it. So think about precedent and other meetings and dialogue.
Right. So not to set precedents, but to call this an exception.
And understanding that Mr. Bright stated that we're not spending any of our money. This is free money, as Ernest said. I did make that note.
I would hope the board would agree to allow that. Can we go ahead and allow him to come to the podium?
Yes, we can. We can engage the discussion about broadband out of public hearing, and we have invited Mr. Bright to the podium so he can also participate.
Can we put that in a motion to vote? Since we're
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair. We make an exception at this time and allow Mr. Erna Bright to come to the podium to be part of the discussion with the panel from Roanoke Electric, to interject and to be respond on behalf of the county.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
We move this second. Do we have a vote? All in favor?
can we have discussion, Madam Chair?
Discussion.
My vote is going to be because of precedent. If we do it this time, and I appreciate Mr. Bright's 43 years of experience, but we're here to finalize this. Roanoke Connect has been on board. This has been going on for months. We're here to rubber stamp it, in my opinion, today. And now we're going to ask them to potentially go back to the drawing board. So I just think we're opening up a can of worms. No, nothing bad to Mr. Bright. However, this isn't our first public hearing. It's not going to be our last. So that's why my vote will go the way it's going.
And another point of discussion, if I may, to our friends at Roanoke Electric, we're partners, and Mr. Bright has come to the public hearing with some ideas and thoughts. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're collaborative partners, and it not being our expertise, we're here for a discussion of what's good for the county and what's good for the system. So we're all partners in this.
And if CenturyLink wanted to work with us with a grant, we'd work with CenturyLink as well.
Anybody that's had a grant by their name.
I'm not speaking at all for CenturyLink. I've been there for 2.5 years. Lemieux, or whatever the new name is.
I'll call the vote, Madam Chair. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
And we'd just like to add too, kind of piggyback a little bit on what Commissioner Jones has said, Madam Chairman. That is certainly, as we studied this and as we looked into it and as we asked Roanoke to go on to collaborate with us, we began to learn some things too. And we didn't learn it all. So thank you for being here, Myrna, and thank you for bringing some things through. 512 to me is 17. I believe it is. So anyone else who may have something to add to that.
Engage our partners.
Engage our partners.
Right. Ms. Davidson, I believe, wants to speak.
Ms. Kathy?
Ms. Davidson?
She's muted. Brad Penny,
Brad Penny, the engineer.
the engineer.
Kathy, did you want me to speak?
Brad, why don't you go ahead and go through the process of the lines and the what our what our plan would be for this project?
Yeah, and Kathy, I'll have you interject once to more discuss Roanoke's strategy as a whole, but I can explain just a little bit on what our thought processes with these two specific routes were. I don't disagree at all with what the public gentleman mentioned, and I can't remember his name. I'm having just a little bit trouble hearing on my end, so I apologize. I think the strategy of these two lines specifically, and Kathy, feel free to jump in, was to put Roanoke Electric in proximity of those last mile homes in most need. And then from there, Roanoke Electric would, and Roanoke Connect Holdings specifically, would be building out those homes.
That is correct. And we're running, the project would run the middle mile to where the homes need to be connected through the grant funds. And then it's Roanoke Connect Holdings, Roanoke Electric. Intention is to connect the homes that are at the end of those build out. So it's not just the middle section. The middle section is paid by grant funding and then, or by the funding, and then we would invest our own funds to build out the last mile to the homes.
So you're building, with this fund, you're building trunk and fiber capabilities from your existing fiber to here. And that was never explained. And Commissioner Jones, I'm not anything against this. I still like the project. I think it's great. But I think next time when something like this comes along, instead of just jumping in and doing, you need to look a little bit further and see. Have broadband light and who's got what and where. And I understand where they're coming from too. I've been on both ends of it. I'm on the end user and I've been the provider. And looks like the end user always, with anybody, gets a little bit of the less amount of the pie. And I fully understand that. And I think the board, by not having citizen comments early on, and I know that you looked at it, you've done.
We had public hearing before, Mr. Bright. And well, yeah, that's why I explained this isn't the first public hearing that we've had, and they have agreed. But the good thing about that is, and said, this board has decided to be proactive now in searching for grants. Right. And we've said that the previous meetings that this isn't it, that we look forward to working with Kathy and Reba and Brad now also for more grants, because we know that there's a lot of people at home right now with kids and grandkids that are struggling. And that's what's brought it to light over the last few months.
Right. And I know Reba fully understands that, I'm not questioning her, but I'm just here talking for people that are at last mile. And I've got my printout where I signed up for Roanoke, did it, but it didn't make good sense to me. Why are you bringing a fiber that's stopping at free? It's not serving anybody that I can see that's not already served. Just funky for all practical purposes. And I understand they're engineers, they're going to drop off. But how many houses are they going to serve as they drop off? When they go off of 158, Roanoke Electric already has fiber to their distribution center, the transport center down there on 158 and Mill Pond Road. They could pick off what they've got now, which is what they're evidently going to do. And they're going one direction where there's coverage. They're not going to go another direction until they go toward the Clemens and Chevron County later on phase 3 or something like that. So my thought to the commissioners is, look at your whole county and look at the ones that are not being served. Look at the ones that don't have cable TV. Look at the ones that don't have cell phones. And don't necessarily let, whether it's Centrelink or whoever come in here and sell something, until, like you say, be proactive and get out in the community. Because just because it's in the Gates County Index, I read it every week, but everybody do that. So, that's why I'm here today. I'm here looking after people on the last mile. And it's great that it's grant money, and that's the way to do it. You can get it.
Thank you, Mr. Bright, for your comments, and we'll take that under consideration. But let's know that we are going to be more proactive in grant writing and grant seeking. Any other discussion?
Well, I would, I know they're probably here to answer questions, but I would be curious if there was anything new that they wanted to bring to the table. Any new information, Ms. Davidson?
One of the things that we discussed at our first meeting was that we're being very aggressive, also looking for grants, and we have good progress in our great grant program. As you recall, we did receive a grant from the state for part of that project, and I do understand that Mr. Bright brings up that there is service in part of Gates County. Yes, there is, but even based on conversations with FCC and USDA, that is not service that's at the level that FCC wants broadband offered. And so we're aggressively looking for additional opportunities. Great Grant is one. The Reconnect program is another, and we have our application in for that, which also includes parts of Gates County, and it's under review by the USDA. And I think it's important that we're looking at how we can connect the resources, the fiber that we're already have within the system. As you know, our substations are all connected with fiber, but how can we use that resource, just like what you do in county government? How can you use that resource and expand it for the betterment of your citizens, for us, our member owners and our subscribers? And we have to do that very strategically because of the expense of running fiber. And looking at between a $30,000 and $40,000 per mile construction cost, and with the presence of COVID, the cost for construction and moving forward is even more expensive. And our policy and our belief is that our member owners and even everyone within our service territory have the right to high-speed internet and being able to have education, to conduct business, to have telehealth from the comfort of their home, as well as entertainment options. And as we look at it, that's not available. So we're looking at every option and every partnership that we can put together to utilize the resources available to respond to the needs of the residents of Gates County and in which we serve.
I like share that from a Gates County resident point of view. I also am on the end of the line for Roanoke Electric, and I do have CenturyLink right now. However, it had to take them coming through to be able to get to me. But with CenturyLink, on a good day, I might have 10-1 rounded up. Right? With rain, I have nothing. And I have not been able to even access the files and things I need from home with Roanoke Electric because I do not have enough bandwidth through CenturyLink. So Roanoke service will allow me to have improved telework capabilities along with telehealth, along with energy efficiency devices to save on energy in my home, which I cannot use now with the internet that I have currently from CenturyLink. So with me being on the end of Roanoke Electric, it took them finding funds to get through coming up through Rooks Road in order to now get to me and Sarum Farms, who cannot get internet at all from CenturyLink because they're too far off the road. So he has to use HughesNet, which is not that great for him. But depending on how far you are off the road, even if CenturyLink comes through there, they will not service you. For some, CenturyLink, and my talking with some of the people right now on CenturyLink, they're complaining about the service, and they have been told that if they switch to another service that comes through and decide they wanted to come back, they would not be able to come back because they don't have enough capacity to add on. So it's full, the line is full, and if you drop off, they're going to replace you with someone else, and then that means you're without it if you chose to switch back to them. So even though there is some internet coming through Gates County, the question is, what is the quality to the provider, to the participant or the subscriber? And it is unequal quality for residents in Gates County.
Reba, do you know what the quality of connectivity is at our library?
I do not know. I know when CenturyLink first came through, it was a minimum of 10-1. And 10-1, when you do your speed check, it's not necessarily 10-1. It's rounded up to 10-1 if it hits any mark below 10 and below 1. And I've actually done my speed, and it's sometimes been 0.5, 0.3. And so I know that was the minimum when they first hit the county, but then in certain parts of the county, they've been able, providers have been able to upgrade to a higher speed, but I don't know about the library.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Question?
Well, just one thing I was thinking, we get at least one email a week from the governor's office. Or if you tap into Route 50, I don't know if y'all check that, there'll be an article in there about the governor's office addressing broadband. I mean, it's very frequent. Does Roanoke Electric, do they have a member that connects with the governor, sits on a committee or anything that could help us?
We actually sit on and advise the governor's broadband committee. We participate in their meetings on a monthly basis, and we also receive those updates from the governor's office. Our statewide association is also very proactive in working with the governor and his cabinet, and particularly the broadband infrastructure office.
Very well.
Not during the public hearing. Are we still in the public hearing? No. I think the only issue that I'm not sure if any of the rest of you have, but I've talked to Reba about this and it's come up. I think the only issue left to determine is who will administer the grant. Reba, you want to elaborate on our discussion about how that could save us some money? Or
Sure. And Kathy, please jump in. We had discussion at our first meeting, I think, with you all, and put on the table that if you all felt that you could not manage or did not want to manage the grant, that Roanoke Electric or Roanoke Connect Holdings would manage the grant with the, I think it's 10% of the amount you have. Kathy had indicated it would not take as much, so more money could go toward the fiber. So it's up to you all if you want to manage the grant or if you want us to manage the grant. That's your choice. And Kathy, do you want to jump in?
Absolutely. When we first discussed the project, as Reba mentioned, the administration fee as spelled out in the grant is of the grant amount, but it would be our recommendation that we could work for the county and administer the grant for much less than that. And just looking at the project itself and the administration needed, it would be about $25,000 compared to the $90,000, and that difference could go towards additional funding within the grant project.
Thank you, Reba. Madam Chair, I would like to ask if our finance officer has any issues with that, if he's in the room. Since this is a finance decision, you know, it makes sense to me. After talking to Reba, and Kathy just said they can do it for 25 instead of 90. But I would like to hear from our finance officer, her opinion about finance.
Because we have this much, it would be great if somebody else could monitor this grant, especially with all the COVID funds that we are trying to monitor right now.
That's what I thought you'd say. I thought you'd say that, Kim. Thank you.
And Reba, I thank you for working with the county manager and myself and others on this commission to get this done. I also remember about a couple of months ago, we talked about the administration of this grant. I think it was said and almost approved, well, not approved, but discussed that we would try to have you, your entity, administer this grant because of what Kim just said, because of lack of staffing and expertise to do it in times that we take. So I think that's a good way to go. Let them, the money is already in the grant. You write a grant, you have administrative costs in there anyway. So let them use that to administer this grant.
Now, Reba, the way it currently is, does it state that the county will, does it have to be tweaked somehow, Reba?
Basically, the county is the applicant for the grant, and in the grant, we have to indicate who is qualified to actually implement it and who is qualified to manage it. So we will be putting in it that Roanoke Connect Holdings is going to go under contract with you all to manage the grant and implement it.
So today we passed the resolution and the county manager would, and the chair would, well, it actually looks like the chair would sign it. And then you guys would fill out, complete the grant. Is that correct, Reba?
That's correct. Diane and I have a spreadsheet that says who's going to do what, and we're working on our pieces now. And then this is an old school grant, meaning you cannot send it online. You have to do numerous copies with tabs in a notebook and mail it. So Diane will be doing that, but I'll be working with her to make sure we have everything complete in those notebooks.
Yeah. And Commissioners, Mr. Penny has a couple of items that he would like to also add. Brad?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, you kind of mentioned it though, Kathy, and I don't want to speak to Roanoke's broader broadband deployment strategy necessarily, but we've partnered with you all on quite a few different deployment projects and funding projects, and it seems Mr. Wynn is very committed to getting to all customers and all members in this territory. And with Roanoke Connect really being in the first phases of this deployment, we really picked this strategically to get us closer to those homes most in need, to help subsidize some of those costs. So that's all I had, Kathy.
Thank you.
I think that's right.
County of Gatesville for community development block grant funding for the coronavirus CDBG-CP project. Whereas the County of Gates Board of Commissioners has indicated its desire to assist in community development efforts for broadband expansion and digital equity within the county. And whereas the Board of Commissioners has held 2 public hearings concerning the proposed application for community development block grant funding to benefit expansion for digital equity. Whereas the Board of Commissioners wishes the county to pursue a formal application for community development block grant funding to benefit broadband expansion and digital equity. Whereas the Board of Commissioners certifies it will meet all federal regulatory and statutory requirements of the state of North Carolina Community Development Block Grant Program. Now therefore be it resolved by the Gates County Board of Commissioners that the County of Gates is authorized to submit a formal application to the North Carolina Department of Commerce for approval of a community development block grant to benefit broadband expansion and digital equity.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to make a motion, if possible, that we approve the application for community development block grant funding for the CDBG-DV project.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion on the floor to approve in a second. You ready for vote?
Madam Chair, can I amend my motion? It's the CDBG-CV project. It's different initials on each thing.
Okay. Motion amended, but we have a motion to approve in a second. Are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, Reba, and Brad. And
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
old business. Board table contract. Trying to get this through. We have an out. And I'm gonna call to the podium our clerk of the board, Ms. Lawrence, who's been working on this, with input from the county manager. As soon as she completes her duty of technical assistant. Okay, Ms. Lawrence?
Good morning. When we started with an AV project, the board suggested some upgrades to the facilities of this room to better equip the AV project. I have before you 3 quotes that have been secured for the custom built table that would meet the recommendations that the board asked for. There are some pictures, some diagrams of the room, how the table would fit. If you have questions about any of the quotes, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
I spoke with Ms. Lawrence about the 3 quotes, and the lesser quote in here is, table's not made of trees, made of tree byproducts. I don't know how,
Particle board.
well, somewhat, yes, parts of it.
The lesser quote is a manufacturer that builds for Amcase, and they do a lot of hospital and medical facility works. So they were very clear when getting these quotes to make sure that we understood that it is not wood. It's PVT and laminate and such. So that is the big difference between that quote compared to the other two.
Go ahead.
My question is, and again, I hate to say that I missed that meeting, but it was my understanding that the table, well, I'm not sure which, it was Commissioner Owens maybe, this topic, how did the topic come up for spending $20,000 on the table? Can somebody elaborate?
Well, we were given a number of what a real expensive table was, and I think that number was 30 plus, like $32,000. And that was not agreeable. So we never agreed on a price, but we agreed that it needed to be something less than that. And what we talked about mainly, we were here with the audio visual gentleman, and we were trying to get a product that would meet the new microphones, which would eliminate all of these table wires and connections and things like that. But we had to discuss it with him because the mics, the holes that will be cut into the table to give us access to all the IV, all the connections and everything. And I will tell you that in that meeting, the county manager remembers I quizzed him quite a bit on the future. Technology's changing. You buy a computer and then 18 months they come out with something new. I did quiz him on technology going down the pipe. Would do we need a desk that would accommodate that type of thing? So we had all kinds of conversations, as well as the communications piece that will probably be over here in the corner. I know that's not about the table, but I want you to know that I was thorough in asking all the questions that I thought was necessary. I have talked to Melissa in regard to the unique concepts estimate, and it looks like it has a total. What's the total on that, Melissa?
I believe it's 13.
490. Yeah, 13,490. And we are able to use COVID dollars for this project because we're trying to communicate with the public. So when we get, if we, now I do realize that this table won't be, it's custom made and it won't be here. It's not sitting there already made. So it has to be made. But what it will do for us in the short future, I hope, if we go with this one, is that we'll be in an art scenario where whoever's sitting at that end of the table, this end of the table, won't have to be turning and looking at a screen like that. We'll be all seeing each other and seeing screens without, like Commissioner Jones, having it to his back. I know that's not a good scenario. But anyway, I'm from my viewpoint, and they're a North Carolina company, and Melissa says they've been very helpful in answering her questions. Excuse me?
It's close by. I mean, not so far.
Right, they're out of Wendell. And if you look, they were one company that I sent them kind of a drawing of our room with measurements, and they took our drawing, digitized it, and you can see exactly how the table will fit in the room and allow for walkways, access to the elevator and such.
And it will accommodate, if you see the chairs in there, it will actually accommodate 8 board chairs.
So it should accommodate for the board here to be able to socially distance more. And
Well, that's my question. I'm looking at this and I thought, and Commissioner Owens did not touch on that. I don't see 6 feet on these tables. Was that not one of the reasons that was stated, a socially distancing part?
Well, I don't think, we're not 6 feet now. And if you
So we're not solving that problem.
And if you get a table that's gonna that's going to accommodate 6 feet. Just the sheer math in this room, somebody's going to be outside the wall over there.
So in
We've got to
that,
start right here.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but in that drawing, there's 8 chairs. So if you take off the 8 chairs for the 5 of you, it would be much more distance than you are now. It does accommodate 8, so when we get back, you would have spots for a manager to sit at the table. When you bring in the attorney, they could sit at a table. If you're having work sessions, and also the planning board and the board of adjustment, the table's large enough to seat all of them. Currently, when they're meeting up here, we got people sitting kind of everywhere.
So what we're looking at, my fellow commissioners and Kim, finance officer, right now I've got remaining balance after encumbered balance at 73,635.45 cents. So we're discussing $13,490 for a table. So I don't have to turn around and look at the camera, which will leave us with $60,145.45. I was against it before. We didn't give our employees in the county merit raises this year. As I and Commissioner Riddick talked about last time, there's been $1 million spent on this building, and there's some people that we've talked about over the last year, they don't want another dime spent on this building. But we're talking about spending $14,000 on ourselves. When that money could go back to the fund balance, potentially, correct, Kim? To next year, as Commissioner Riddick has said, COVID, that money, we used $200,000 to balance the budget this year from CARES Act money. Where are we going to get $200,000 from next year? We can't keep going to our savings account. I'm okay with being inconvenienced once or twice a month and having to turn around and explaining to the employees across the street, sorry, we didn't give y'all a merit raise this year, but we're getting a new table to be used. I just can't believe we're having that conversation, Mr. Owens.
Okay. Very good.
On top of the $20,000 we've already another $19,907.98 that we're spending for the audio visual. If that's done, but I would like for my 5 fellow commissioners to explain to the employees why they couldn't get a 1% merit raise, but we can get a $14,000 table.
I concur. This is not a recurring cost. A raise isn't a recurring cost. When we give raises, we have to make sure that we allocate that money each and every year. This is a one-time expenditure. It's a one-time clarification as far as how we're going to use this historic courthouse. I want clarity. I understand what we spent in this courthouse, but we're here now, and we have to make sure that we use it efficiently, not only for the Board of Commissioners, but any other entity in this county. Pay taxpayer money to use this courthouse, whether it's one of our staffing, our committees, the school board, whoever needs to use this courthouse. This is why we're here. It does not belong to the commissioners. It belongs to the citizens of Gates County. We cannot continue to look back at what happened and don't move forward. We don't need recurring costs because we don't know what's going to happen next year with COVID, with the state budget, the county budget, and raises are recurring costs. This is not a recurring cost. It's a one-time expenditure, and the money is there.
Also, we spent $259,000 out of our fund balance the year before you got on, Commissioner Riddick, to balance our budget. So we've 2 years in a row tapped into our fund balance, which is not good by the LGC over the last 2 years that we have heard. So I'll lose again, but that's okay because I'm fighting for the citizens and the employees. I'm being a good steward of our money when I vote.
I look at it as also being a plus for our people who are at home so that they can see us and have a better hearing, better presentation. And that, like I say, it's not a recurring cost. It is something that if we can use this money for this, and it will be here forever. So you prorate it through the years, it won't be that much.
I don't have any other questions or comments, Madam Chair.
Okay. Anything else, Melissa?
You need to choose one.
Madam Chair, so we can move forward, and that we can vote for or against or have more debate. But I want to make a motion that we instruct the county manager to enter a contract for the table from Unique Concepts based on the quote that's presented for us today. And make that in the form of a motion.
Have a motion?
I second that motion.
Further discussion?
Commissioner Hopper, you stated that so the citizens at home can see us and hear us better. That's what the $19,000 that's already been approved is for. Just putting that out there. That's the audio visual that's already been approved. This is for a table for clarity purposes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? We have a motion on the floor to go into contract for Unique Concepts for $13,490. We have a second. Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Approved. Now we have new business. Appointment of at-large member, Admiral Commission Board of Delegates.
We only had one applicant.
And I'd like to make a motion that we accept that applicant. He's served, I see, and
Good night, Ray. Good night. You went too far.
The Elizabeth Hedrick. I'm not sure if I pronounced the last.
Elizabeth Hedrick has applied. Would it be the at-large member of the Admiral Commission Board of Delegates? Have a motion to accept. Commissioner Hopper. He's the only one that applied.
I think most of the Commissioner Freeman made a motion.
You made a motion?
yes, ma'am.
You have a second?
I didn't hear.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Approved. Now we have appointment to the voluntary AG or agricultural district.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion there too, that we receive and accept the application. He served on the board as well. Todd Lewis.
Second that motion.
Discussion. We have a motion and a second to accept Mr. Todd Lewis as the appointment to the voluntary agricultural district. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Okay, next we have the NCACC legislative voting delegate. It says, good afternoon, county managers and clerks to the board. The NCACC Legislative Goals Conference will be held by virtual platform Thursday and Friday, January the 14th, 15th, 2021. Each county will be entitled to vote on legislative goal proposal submissions brought before the membership. In order to facilitate the voting process, we ask that each county designate one voting delegate and also may assign one alternate voting delegate prior to the Legislative Goals Conference using the attached designation of voting delegate form. Please note that voting will take place via an electronic format, and more information will follow regarding this process as we get closer to the date of the conference. And we should return the completed form to Alyssa Carr via email by close of business Monday, January the 11th, 2021.
I would like to make a motion that I chair with the voting delegate.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that the chair serve as the voting delegate. Discussion. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So be it. We have the form in our packet. I'll let the county manager make sure and the clerk make sure this gets done in a timely manner.
I think we also have to select an alternate.
Okay. Do I have a motion for an alternate?
I'll make a motion, we elect our longtime serving vice chair to be the
I'll second
alternate
that.
delegate.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second that Commissioner Owens serve as the alternate. Further discussion? Hearing none. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So be it. Jack Owens will serve as the alternate. Then we have commissioner appointments to boards and committees. It says, please review and make changes if needed. We have, we'll read these appointments as they stand now. We have Commissioner Freeman, Coastal Care Northern Regional Board, Gates Regional Transportation System Board, Tri-County Animal Shelter, Albemarle Regional Health Services Board of Health, and Gates County Personnel Board. Commissioner Owens, Gates Board of Social Services, McQuimmons Chowan Gates Landfill Commission, Gates County Personnel Board, Albemarle Regional Solid Waste Management Authority. Commissioner Hoffler, Albemarle Commission, Albemarle Rural Planning Organization Transportation Advisory Committee, WIOA Consortium and Northeast Workforce Development Board, McQuimmons Chowan Gates Landfill Commission. Commissioner Jones, Gates County Partners for Health, Gates Medical Transport Board, and Commissioner Riddick, Juvenile Crime Commission Council, and Gates Aging and Adult Services Task Force. Are these correct as we stand now?
Yes, ma'am, they are correct. I would, Madam Chairman, if I could hand off one of mine, Gates International Regional Transportation System Board to Commissioner Jones.
And I'll respectfully decline that, Commissioner Freeman.
Okay.
What the record doesn't show is I'm also on the Social Services Board as a state appointee, so it's not included into this. So I'm technically on 3, but I'm still a state appointee right now.
I don't think, Commissioner Freeman, I don't think that requires a lengthy amount of time. How about the chair needs another line item?
And I agree, it does not, we don't meet that often, but there's a lot discussed, and Patrice certainly keeps up with the grants. And we do have personnel there, Gates County, folks that are employed there, plus they have various things that they have to meet as far as criteria to be a transporter. So if the chair would accept that, I'd be glad to hand that to the chair, Dr. Riddick.
And if the chair would like to serve on the Partners for Health Board as well, newly retired.
Just because I'm retired doesn't mean I'm gonna work for y'all.
You've got no more Zoom meetings. But these meetings occur during the day. They're Zoom for a while, so that would be right up your alley if you'd be interested in doing that. But they meet during the day, and it's usually around. It's been a bad time the last couple months.
And if I may explain, just so the public can hear, but maybe some of our commissioners, the Coastal Care Northern Regional Board is actually Trillium. So everyone's aware of that. And they are very closely associated, of course, now with the Albemarle Regional Health Services Board. And we're in a lot of meetings as pertaining to that. Fortunately, all of them Zoom at this time.
Okay.
So does that need to be in a motion that we change it, or we just move on? I'll make a motion then that we update the Board of Commissioners appointments to boards and committees as changed today. Sure, I sure will.
And
Let me-
before, well, just for discussion purposes too, chairmanship, Madam Chairman, would she now be Gates County Personnel Board?
I would think so.
I would think so myself. So you can cancel me out of that and move that to Madam Chairman.
So she
Now-
goes from 2 to 5.
You want to get rid of one, make it 6? All right. So the motion needs to stay each name. Okay. Now, if I may, I'll make a motion that Ray Freeman continue to serve on the Coastal Care Northern Regional Board, the Tri-County Animal Shelter Board, Albemarle Regional Health Services Board of Health. Jack Owens serve on the Gates Board of Social Services, Perquimans Chowan Gates Landfill Commission, Gates County Personnel Board, Albemarle Regional Solid Waste Management Authority. Linda Hoffler, Albemarle Commission, Albemarle Rural Planning Organizational Transportation Advisory Committee, WIOA Consortium and Northeast Workforce Development Board, Perquimans Chowan Gates Landfill Commission, Commissioner Jones, the Gates County Transport Board, Commissioner Riddick, the JCPC, Gates Aging and Adult Services Task Force, Gates Partners for Health, the Gates Interregional Transportation System Board, and the Gates County Personnel Board.
That was a motion.
Second?
Yes, sir. Don't ask me to
I'll
repeat.
second
Second.
Okay.
Okay, properly motion and second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Have I neglected to add anything before we go into citizens' comments?
We, the agenda actually has number 14,
Okay,
and that's an old copy of the agenda as well.
I can't hear you, so what now?
I said, we don't have a A and B, it's just it's an outdated copy, but we have number 14.
All right, citizen comments?
No,
No.
we did away from, we did away with that a few months ago.
We're on number 14,
Keep it straight here.
14,
14.
under new business.
All right, 14.
Calendar for next year.
Calendar for next year. Hope everybody has reviewed that. And what is your pleasure?
My question to the board is, clerk presented the schedule of meetings and the board budget retreat and the work session. Did we want to go ahead and put those extra meetings in there? Knowing that we currently don't have a county manager right now? Or do we want to wait and not be tied down to those dates?
Commissioner Jones, that calendar was mixed in somewhere. It wasn't
It's in the consent agenda.
Consent
in the
agenda.
consent. Okay, thank you.
Right after the minutes. Right after the minutes.
Right after the minutes?
Got it.
Let me see, does December 15th need to be changed to December 6th?
Non-election year.
Okay.
I was going back to previous minutes.
It's always the first Monday, isn't it?
We've chosen to do that to just be consistent.
To be, yeah, right, okay, but you'll have to.
So that was why I wanted to pull out a consent agenda for discussion about the memorandum from Melissa with those February 22nd, 24th, and May 26th dates. Just to be discussed. Her notes that she's got in here about a board budget retreat, a budget work session, and the final budget work session, and the notes that she included with her memorandum to us. Did we want to go ahead and put those dates out there, or do we want to wait Or,
Well, I think if we already have them on a calendar, it might be better to have them out there, and then if we need to change them. But we could, we don't need to get behind the 8 ball on the budget if we run into a time frame with getting a new county manager, is what I would think.
have you checked those dates?
Yes.
So you're good February 22nd with a meeting in the morning and at night? Because you and I have a DSS board meeting that morning.
Well, with the DSS not being on here, I didn't
Right.
think about that.
So that'll take you away. That's what stuck out when I was checking my calendar.
Well, certainly the 5:30 meeting is okay. I know we need to attend the other one. I think I would be okay with it.
And this is a special meeting, so there won't be closed session beforehand. So I would not be opposed to moving it to 6:30 instead of 5:30, like our regularly scheduled meetings, so that the citizens can attend if they want to.
Okay with that?
February 22nd is my recommendation.
Any other changes?
On the December meeting, that would have to be changed to the first Monday.
It's not an election year,
Oh, it's not a.
so it's not required
Yeah, that's right.
per the book.
Odd year. Sorry about that.
You can change it if you want to be consistent. We have in the past.
I was thinking we had always moved, but
But that was when we had 2 meetings. Now we're at nightly meetings for the citizens, so.
I would prefer to leave the December as it is, if everybody's in agreement to the 5:30.
well, it's just getting closer to the holidays.
And continue to do closed session at 5:30, right, Melissa?
And if we don't need a closed session, the meetings will start at what time?
6:30?
I would think it'd be the regular
The
commissioners. meeting.
6:30.
Yeah, 'cause that's,
Okay, I think that needs to be, because a lot of times we don't have closed session every meeting.
So anytime that you don't have a closed session, we will have to put out a notice that the meeting will begin at 6:30, not 5:30.
Well, now that could
Yeah, that's
create a
what-
problem.
Yeah, that creates, that's meant more money.
Why don't we move our meetings to 6 o'clock? That gives us 30 minutes of closed session beforehand. And then if we need to complete it, we don't get it done at 30 minutes, we can do it afterwards. That way we don't have to change anything. Not that Cal wouldn't appreciate our couple of dollars, but
but isn't it advertised now that, closed session's at 5:30 and the regular commissioners meeting is at 18:30, 6:30?
Yes, sir.
So
It
that-
is
so-
it is advertised that you have a board meeting on a set date that begins at 5:30. The board will immediately go into closed session and then resume. We only have one meeting on a day, and that meeting begins at 5:30. So if we're not gonna have 5:30, then we put out a public notice that says the meeting's been scheduled to 6:30.
Okay, but if, let's say on a month, we're not going to have closed session, we have the announcement that it's going to begin at 5:30, we just begin the regular meeting at
Yeah,
5:30.
we'll begin the regular meeting at 5:30, or you can change the
Okay.
time.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Okay, you don't think any wording needs to be changed for clarification? You think the way it's worded will be okay?
Okay.
So,
So-
getting back to Commissioner Jones about the February meetings,
mhm.
time-wise, I know you and I have one in the morning. I'm okay with that, okay? So any other,
Well, listening to Commissioner Hoffer, my recommendation was 6:30 to keep it in line with our other public meetings. Does it need to be 5:30? But there's not going to be any closed session, or do we just keep it at 5:30? I mean, at 6:30. I think this is the budget. This is the most important thing we as commissioners do. Transparency purposes, I think we leave it at 6:30.
you mean move it to 6:30? Okay, so February the 22nd, change that special meeting, budget meeting to 6:30 PM.
And also the May, our normal meeting in May is the 19th. That's the third Wednesday. The final budget work session, I would like for that to be moved to 6:30 as well. It's a special call meeting. If we keep that date.
Okay, can we, Melissa, on the May 19th meeting that Commissioner Jones is referring to,
26th,
26th?
the final budget work session. Yes, sir. Move that from 5:30 to
Okay.
6:30. Because we might end up wanting that to be during the daytime when we get down to the nitty gritty.
Suppose we, would it be smart to leave us some room for closed session if we had a budget issue that we wanted to talk about in closed session?
Can we do that?
I don't think you can do that.
If we finance,
Be
can
transparent for keeping up with that.
okay, all right, so 6:30?
And we might not need it. They will, some years we have not needed that final one.
Yeah, so we're saying 6:30.
Now, those are the only two that I have, the 22nd at 6:30 and the 26th at 6:30. But, so that Melissa doesn't have to poll the board, because I know that this item's gonna come up. I think it's in the best interest of us and the citizens for every single one of these meetings to be publicized. We have put the rules and policies and procedures down the road till we get a new county manager, but I feel that it's important that every single meeting that commissioners have in here be publicized on our YouTube channel. Work sessions, budget workshops, and everything.
You're saying to put it out there for like in the month of January, the whole list? Or you're talking about each month?
You're wanting live, just go ahead and say everything will be live streamed.
Every commissioner's meeting to be live streamed, yes. That includes workshops, work sessions.
Can we take a vote on the calendar?
Yeah,
and do
yeah.
that?
Madam Chair?
Okay, we need to vote on the calendar as amended.
Make a motion, we'll approve the calendar as revised.
Second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved.
And Madam Chair, to piggyback off what the clerk to the board said, I'd like to make a motion that all, in lieu of us not passing the policies and procedures yet, which gets into this topic, that all Gates County Board of Commissioners meetings, work sessions, retreats that are relating to the budget are televised or streamed for the citizens.
Have a second?
Second that motion?
I have a question. If we have a retreat, certainly it's open to the public, but I don't know if that needs to be live stream. If somebody's interested, they can come.
Is there any particular reason why we're spending $40,000 on table and AV equipment to better it for the citizens? So
I was just thinking to
Yeah.
try to get some the visions and all.
Commissioner Jones? How often is the table and the audio-visual comment going to come before its board? I mean, we can go back 17 years and find something that a commissioner didn't approve of or voted against.
oh yeah,
And we could do that. I don't think that's necessary. Table's going to be here for 100 years.
right. But we're talking about the county budget.
We're talking about a table in the county budget.
Right.
And I'm talking about 100 years.
Right. But the Commissioner Hoffler was just saying that she didn't want the budget retreat to be televised.
Which has nothing to do with the table or the audiovisual.
But it is, it's part of the budget. We spent $40,000 of budget money to do it. So I think we need to utilize it. That's what Commissioner Riddick said, we're going to be utilizing this room. So that's why I think anytime we're in this room, we need to be visible to the public in all means, because we don't know what's going to happen in February. We might be worse off than we are now.
That's correct. We do not know what the future is, except that the table will last 100 years. I think we're pretty safe in saying that. Thank you.
I was just thinking that, it doesn't bother me to put it on, but sometimes if we're trying to come together with visions and talking just back and forth, I think it might be a little, easier to just have that with us. And if it has to be a public meeting, someone could come, but I can live either way, but I just think it would be better for frank discussions.
Any other discussion?
I'm in favor of the retreat being on audiovisual as well.
I see the clerk saying, okay. Make your motion.
I did.
Dan.
Yeah, I did. You may repeat it?
Mhm.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that all Gates County Board of Commissioners meetings in 2021 listed in the schedule of meetings, to include any other budget work sessions held here in the historic courthouse, be live streamed for the citizens of Gates County.
Motion on the floor. Need a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Ready to vote? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Approved. Okay. Did I miss anything else before we do citizen comment? You've already done so.
No citizen comment.
No comment. Commissioner comment?
I'll begin, if that's okay.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Roanoke Electric for all they're trying to do to help the citizens of Gates County. They're a good partner, and we have made a commitment to one another that goes forward to our citizens, that we're going to look for every grant opportunity that we possibly can going forward, and be aggressive with this project and the other projects in the future. So, new ideas, fresh things, hope they keep coming. I do want to say that I had a guest to write a note to me that said that he and his family had a goal of going to every state park in North Carolina, and they had been to 23, and that the Merchant's Mill Pond so far was the number one out of 23 that they've been to so far. And I'm afraid I can't give you that person where the part of the state they came from. I do know, but I just don't have it in front of me. But I thought that spoke very highly of not just the park, but the park staff out there. So anybody wants to pass that along, I think that's very complimentary.
We're going to go down to the
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Hoffler?
I'd like to thank the citizens who have come out today. I'd like to thank the citizens who took part in the election, and knowing that thank them for re-electing me, and I'll always do my homework, and I'll always try to make my votes what I consider is best for the county. Today, I would be remiss but not to remember that this is Pearl Harbor Day, and I thought about two gentlemen concerning Pearl Harbor. One was John Powell. He was the first casualty of World War II from Gates County, and he was at Pearl Harbor. And if you remember, Mr. Creasy and some of the people at the American Legion got his body. It had been buried in Sunbury, and got moved to the military cemetery in Diane, Jacksonville, or Fort Bragg. It's a long story, but there was a lot of complications, but he was finally honored and has a tombstone. And also Mr. Cecil Taylor, who just celebrated his 100th birthday, and he was also at Pearl Harbor. So all those who've sacrificed, made tremendous sacrifices for us so that we could sit here today and have these discussions. We owe them a big debt. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman?
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffer. That is very well said. And we had many folks not only supporting them, but also the folks that were there. Again, I'd like to kind of piggyback on something that Commissioner Owens said about Gatlington and our other commissioners, Commissioner Hoffer. Not only does it give us another area in Gates County for folks to enjoy, but also an area for rescue when and if needed. We sit here as your commissioners to agree to disagree and to disagree to agree. So we thank you for tuning in, and you'll see more of that. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you. Thank you to Roanoke Connect for agreeing to work with us. Free money is exciting. $900,000 if we're able to get that. This is going to be good for the county and citizens, and I look forward to what we can do by working together in the future. Thank you, Mr. Freeman, for your time as chair over the last year. Congratulations to Commissioner Hoffer and Riddick on your recent landslide election wins. Congratulations, Commissioner Riddick, on your chair win. Kudos to Commissioner Hoffer and Owens for deciding to entrust you to lead us after your work over the last few months. And I look forward to you leading us with your continued movements over the next year to make the county even better.
In closing, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us virtually or in person today. I look forward to working with the citizens of Gates County. I look forward to collaborating not only with external partners, but internal partners within this county and the state. It is my focus that we will move forward in Gates County by aggressively and assertively seeking those grant opportunities and other opportunities that will bring us more revenue into this county so that we can do some of the things that we have not been able to do in the previous years. I'm a proponent of looking forward, not back. I'm a proponent of working collaboratively with everybody who has a willing to do so. I want everybody to remember on this board that I appreciate everything that you have done since I was appointed in February. I thank the staff, especially our county manager and Melissa Lawrence, for shepherding me as I move forward. Be confident that I will do no harm, but I'm not going to look backwards only to see what's behind me. I will look forward, move forward, and everybody sitting around this table has one vote and one vote only. But we work collectively to move this county forward. We will disagree, but we're not going to be disagreeable. And this was my first chair of this board, but not my first chair. This is not first leadership I've had. So when you talk about longevity, you're looking at it. I just retired from 25 years as an administrator in higher education. And I intend to bring my networking, my experience, and everything I've got home to Gates County. I'm glad to be back home. And thank you very much. Now I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NC.
That was him.
So moved.
You got the reason.
You got
Closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.411A3, legal and personnel.
We haven't voted. Can we have discussion once you get a motion and a second, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
There's not a motion yet.
I can't hear
Motion. Yeah.
you. He made a motion.
Is there a
I made a
second?
motion. Second.
Now, can we have discussion?
Discussion.
If the board would agree, I think that this closed session needs to be held in this room. The meeting room that we usually meet in is not socially distant. With everything going on in the county, I think that we need to stay where we're at and have this closed session.
I see nothing wrong with
I
that.
see nothing wrong with that.
I agree. And just to mention, since you mentioned that, and not to throw something else out, but we do have 284 cases now in the county, and we've had 8 deaths. If we look back at September, we had 24 cases. So it is, it's rearing its head.
I'll call for the vote.
Okay, let's vote to go into closed session.
Aye.
Approve in closed session. Thank y'all for coming.
I make a motion to come out of closed session.
Second that motion.
It's been motion and second that we come out of closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318-.11A3 legal, 6 personnel. We have a vote. All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're out of closed session.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion if I may, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn today's meeting.
Do I have a second? We have a motion on the floor to adjourn today's meeting. Ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.